We're looking at the Rossi 720 is a model number pistol, and it's chambered in 44 special. Rossi brought these guns out, and they imported them for a long time. These are excellent made guns. Adjustable sights, stainless steel. These are roughly the equivalent of a K-frame Smith, and that's the medium frame. Rubber grips. And this has been an excellent shooting little pistol. I've had this one about 10 years. I like the 44 special. I like the 44 round. What I don't like is having to carry a great big bulky gun a lot of times. This is, like I said, roughly the equivalent of a K-frame Smith. It's a medium frame. This particular version I have has the unfluted cylinder, so that gives it about an extra 2 ounces of weight when you're shooting it. This one has a hammer intact, double action, and you have the option of cocking it and firing it single action. Operates just like a regular revolver, like you would expect your old school double action revolver to operate. Carries 5 shots of 44. If you're worried about capacity, don't. That's a solution. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 speed loaders. 5 rounds apiece. That's another 30 rounds of ammunition if you absolutely have to have it. Okay. If you're a capacity nut, I can generally tell you you're probably going to favor the 9mm. And that works good in a gunfight. It works good on a target range. As long as there are only 2-legged critters involved. We start looking at some of your larger hogs that we have here in Florida, a black bear, or some other large hairy creature that you may have to deal with. I want the larger bullet because I want it to penetrate. Physics have not changed. 115 grain bullet is still a 115 grain bullet. These are the light, in my mind, bullets for the 44. These are 200 grains. This is a heavy bullet, and this is light for 44 special caliber. You can actually get down to 165 grains, but that defeats the purpose of carrying the big bore gun. This is a 246 grain round nose bullet. This one's loaded to approximately factory specs, is about 750 feet a second. Even though this uses a round nose bullet and it's only around 750 feet a second, this is still not nothing to sneeze at. This is the masterpiece. This is the Elmer Keith bullet. Now, I loaded this one to about 1,000 feet a second. And I'm not going to publish any of the loads or what powders I used on here for liability reasons. If you want to talk about loads and all, contact me. And I'll be happy to share my loading data with you privately, but I'm not going to publish it publicly. The Elmer Keith bullet gives us a big flat nose. It does a lot of tissue damage. It's 255 grains as cast out of wheel weight alloys out of my mold. That's with a lubed bullet. So that's weighing the lube and all. Some people may come out 248, some 252. Okay, that's great. I size them to 429. Works good in this 44 Special and my 44 Magnum. The Keith bullet is as good driven at 750 feet a second as it is driven at 1,500 feet a second. This bullet does not depend on velocity to open. It just cuts a big hole through whatever it's shot at. Next bullet, this one's sadly out of production. Me and a friend of mine that I learned quite a bit about reloading from, Fred Turner, had found these on eBay. This is the Albert's bullet. And you really can't get these anymore, but we found a batch that somebody had in an estate sale, and we bought 500 of them and split them up. And I've loaded maybe 100 of them. These aren't the kind of bullets you shoot every day. This one's runs right at about 1,100 feet a second. It's a big, soft lead hollow point. This thing opens up 9/10 of an inch. Bullet starts at 429. It opens to 9/10. We've almost doubled our diameter. The bullet weight on this is 235 grains. And last but not least, in North Florida, where I'm at in the woods, we run across rattlesnakes and we run across moccasins pretty regular. My camp down here is right on the river, and from time to time we have to dispatch critters like that. And this is what the shot shells come with. This is about a 1/4 ounce number 9 shot in here, and when you hit a rattlesnake or a moccasin with it, it looks like he's been hit with a 410 shot shell. They don't crawl off and die. They're already dead when this thing hits them. This little blue capsule holds the shot. There's a little plug on the bottom, keeps it from falling out. Other than that, it works like a regular pistol shell. The 720 has a couple of drawbacks. Number one, it's been out of production for a while. The guys that have them love them, and they won't get rid of them. No, mine is not for sale. The next person that ends up with it is probably, if they're a friend, they're not going to like the way they get it, because it'll be one I'll have to leave to somebody when I've left this world. I like the powerful short barrel revolvers. They're easy to carry. I can carry this in the woods, and I have an effective tool. And if I need to, I can conceal this gun for carrying in the city. And it's equally effective. From the factory loads, I get about 8% more energy out of a 45 ACP. But when we hand load, I can get this very close to a 44 Magnum. You know, you're talking about some of these loads. The Keith load, 1,000 feet a second, 255 grain bullet. The Albert's bullet, 1,100. The little spear bullet out of this 3-inch barrel, the way it's loaded, it's stroking about 1,300 feet a second. Very, very close in velocities to what I'm getting out of my 357 Magnum, but a lot more bullet. The ones that usually want to cite statistics say that a gunfight generally happens at 3 feet, it's over in less than 3 seconds, and there's less than 3 shots fired. This 44 Special is very effective when we shoot those 3 shots because it's a great big heavy bullet. Even the lightweight bullets are heavy. You know, what I consider a lightweight bullet is a medium weight bullet for the 45 ACP. Anyway, another side note about this gun is this is one that just about always has hand-loaded ammunition in it. I did buy, on one occasion, probably over the years, 6 or 8 boxes of 50 factory ammunition. And a simple reason for that was to get the brass, shoot it up for the brass. I've shot a little bit of factory self-defense ammunition, and went back to my hand-loaded stuff because it's more consistent, it's more powerful. I'm not saying to shoot hand-loaded ammunition for self-defense. I am going to tell you that if I have this pistol with me, and this is what I have when I have a bad day and am compelled by somebody's violence to use it to protect myself, I'm not undergunned. 5 shots, well, that's true. But there are 5 hellacious shots coming at somebody. Second thing, this is a very, very good cartridge to hand load for. The round nose mold I have is a 6-cavity Lee mold. I've got a 2-cavity Lyman mold of the Elmer Keith design. I can shoot cast bullets in this thing all day long and get in a lot of practice with it. That leads to being very proficient with it. So am I undergunned with a 5-shot revolver? No, not in the least. Anyway, I know these Rossies, have kind of a cult following. And if you can't get a hold of one of these, Charter Arms still makes a very good 44 Special. And they are a fine shooting little gun. I have owned a couple of those over the years. Hopefully at some point I'll own some more of them. It's a great cartridge, great gun. I can't really talk about, the 44 Special without mentioning Elmer Keith, because he's the one that did a lot of the work with it that brought us the heavy loaded 44 Special and the Magnum. And that's one of his bullet design, that big semi-wad cutter. Now, Elmer liked the K-frame, the N-frame Smithson 44. And that's great if it's just going to be a woods gun, or if I'm someplace where open carry is permissible and accepted. But sometimes you need something a little smaller. And I don't feel undergunned with this pistol at all. I've carried it quite frequently. For several years, it served as my truck gun because all around, be in the city, be in the woods, wherever it had to go, it was a good option. Another thing that I'll point out is I have yet to find a court case, and I have researched it intensely the last 3 years, where somebody was convicted simply on the fact that they had hand-loaded ammunition in their gun. There has been always other questionable circumstances. Also understand that when the need may come for me to protect myself, protect my family, I may not have the option of, let me pull the deer hunting loads out of here and shove some friendly bullets in here. I'm going to protect myself with whatever means I have. That being said, I would be judicious in your use of hand loads, but I would not feel handicapped by them. I would not wait and try to change out my magazine once something bad has started to factory load simply to satisfy some made-up legal requirement. This gun's rarely had a factory load shot through it. Most of the factory loads that were shot when I was developing my loads for this 44 were shot through one of the charters, and this one usually exists on a steady diet of hand loads. Well, later on,